And welcome to the Monday, October 24th, Special Safety Services and Licensing Committee meeting. I'll ask the clerk to please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Present?
Councilman Riley,
Present.
Council Vice President Ferry, Councilwoman Jermaine. Present. Councilwoman Vargas, Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Council President Paplas.
Okay. And next, I will entertain a motion to go into, Council President, do we take public hearing on? It says public hearing, so do I take public comments? Okay, I would just ask, is there anyone in the audience or online who would like to make public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, there being none, I'll close public comment. I'll now ask for a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A2, collective bargaining and litigation.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano, Council President Paplas.
Okay, we'll now. Okay, thank you. I will now entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplas.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. There were no votes taken in executive session to report. I will entertain a motion to seal the minutes of executive session.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes?
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Paplas.
yes,
Okay, thank you. I have no further business on this docket. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All opposed? Okay, thank you. We are all set. Next meeting should be starting in,
couple minutes.
all right, 2 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, October 24th, Cranston City Council meeting. Madam Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino,
Present.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Present.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Present.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Councilman Riley,
Present.
Council Vice President Ferry, Council President Paplaskas.
Present. I'd just like to note for the record, Council Vice President Ferry is on Zoom. Due to public meetings, he can't participate, but he is on Zoom and he has an excused absence. And our thoughts are with Councilman Ferry during this time. Okay. Moving on to Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everyone. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to dispense with and approve the reading of the minutes of the last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the meeting minutes? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, next on the agenda are public acknowledgements and commendations. I see none. Next up is public hearings and public comment. This section of the docket is for matters that are docketed from committees. There is another section for public hearing that comes right after the ordinances for undocketed items. So at this time, if there's anyone here that has public comment on any resolutions or ordinances, now would be the time to come up to the podium. If you're on Zoom, raise your hand. Seeing none, I will close public.
Erica Walker,
What was that?
account name Erica Walker.
Erica, welcome. The floor is yours, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Erica Walker and I am at 121 South Main Street in Providence, Rhode Island. Can you guys hear me well? I'm sorry, I'm in an airport.
We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So I would just like to speak on behalf of the residents that are impacted by the gunfire range.
Ma'am, can I?
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Ask you to hold comment till the next section of public comment?
Oh, yeah, yes, sir.
Undocketed.
Absolutely.
That would be great.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Stay on the call, though. Don't.
Okay.
At this time, I will close public comment for docketed items. Moving on to resolutions. The first resolution we have is designating October 2022 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Cranston, sponsored by Councilwoman Renzulli, Councilman Campopiano, and Riley. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor for discussion.
Thank you.
Councilmember Riley, Renzulli.
Thank you. So it was, important for us to present this to show our support nationally for Domestic Violence Month. Domestic violence impacts Cranston residents, just like it impacts people all across the country and the world. So everyone can, I'm not going to read it word for word. But just a couple of things that really stood out to me when I was gathering data. Approximately 1 in 5 women in the United States and up to 1 in 7 men in the United States have experienced severe physical violence by an intimate partner at some point in their lifetime. And on average, 3 women in the United States are killed each day by a current or former intimate partner, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. More locally, I was able to speak with Detective Iacone, who's in charge of the Special Victims Unit at Cranston Police, and he connected me with Emily Helgerson, who is an advocate from the Elizabeth Buffum Chase Center. And the domestic violence statistics for the city of Cranston, she gave me a couple. So she listed the number of victims that her agency assisted through various programs, such as counseling, housing, case management, court advocacy, and law enforcement advocacy. And in 2022, so far, 345 Cranston clients have been served. In 2021, the number was 404. In 2020, it was 369. In 2019, it was 406. And those are pretty significant numbers. So I wanted to make sure that this is, on our radar for this month and that we're always working to assist domestic violence victims and as residents to keep this on the forefront of our minds. So thank you for allowing me to say something. I don't know if Councilman Riley or Councilman Campiano wanted to say anything.
Thank you, Councilman Mazzulli. Councilmember Riley.
Thank you, Council President. When Councilwoman Renzulli came to me with sponsoring this, I jumped at the opportunity. In my line of work, I see this every day, and it's pervasive. There's a lot of people dealing with this that we just don't know about, our friends, our neighbors, but I see it daily, whether it's in the domestic relations court or through the criminal courts. But where it really affects me the most is in the juvenile justice system, the DCYF, that department. They further victimize a lot of these men and women who are victims of domestic violence by having policies that automatically take their children away. And then these people who are victimized and trying to get better have to go through further hoops. It's a really sad situation. And I try to help out in as many cases of those as I can for the department. But maybe it's because of the line of work I'm in, but I just see way too much of this. And domestic violence cases are the majority in the district court. It's a lot more than what people just think in their average days. And while there are always these issues du jour that come up on a monthly or quarterly basis, whether political or social, this is something that has been around and really needs to be a major focus on it, because it's not about any one group. This affects everybody equally. I'm sure everybody that knows a family member or someone that has been affected. My own family's been affected by this, and it leaves bruises, and a lot of times it leaves scars. But just lifting the stigma of this and being open to help these people, it's something that we really have to focus on. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Campopiano.
Thank you, Council President. I talked to Councilwoman Nicole almost a year ago about sponsoring this and bringing this to the attention. Also, Councilman Vargas, I spoke to her about this. This is something that's very important to me. It's my hope that by us bringing attention to it, that these people that are in this situation come forward. We have wonderful programs. I support the Elizabeth Chase program. I visited the CCAP, and they have a wonderful program there. Hopefully, by us bringing this attention, that someone will seek help, and it'll do something for these people in this situation. So, thank you, Councilwoman, Councilman.
Thank you, Councilman Campopiano. Councilmember Donegan.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you to the council members that brought this forward. I appreciate you bringing this to the forefront and the advocacy on this. Obviously, a very important issue for all of us to discuss. And Councilman Campiano just referenced it. I believe through CCAP, there are funds that are available to assist with a one-time down for to help both low-income people facing housing insecurity, but victims of domestic violence, to help secure a safe place to live. So if there is anyone listening to this that needs assistance, CCAP is a place to go here in Cranston where you can get assistance. Obviously, the Elizabeth Buffum Chase Center. But thank you to the co-sponsors, and if you would, I'd love to be added as a co-sponsor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any objection to be added as a co-sponsor? Seeing none. Councilmember Vargas.
Thank you. To the sponsors, I would also like to be added as a co-sponsor as well. Definitely in working at the Treasurer's Office, they have a crime victim compensation program there that does provide lots of service, emergency housing as well, to victims of domestic violence. And so in knowing that work and reading and understanding that as well, and you don't have to work to understand this, I know how sensitive an issue this is and how important it is, and the negative outcomes that this brings. So if there is no hesitation, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Jermaine.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution is really important because as most of you mentioned already, domestic violence is a taboo for so many of us. And I think a campaign to really educate people to not sit and accept violence. And mostly a lot of women who experience domestic violence, unfortunately, they cannot talk. They are sometimes afraid and they are ashamed to let someone know they are a victim of domestic violence. And some of the time it's because of finance purposes. So sometimes they have a partner who is the provider, and because the partner is the provider, they can't really expose this partner. And we have a lot of women in this situation. And back then, when I was in Haiti, we faced a lot of those issues. And I think CCAP and other organization, like we have organization against domestic violence here, there are a lot of resources available for any woman, young girl who is in a relationship who are victim of violence. You can speak up. There's resources available for you. So thank you for bringing this to the floor. And I thought we, Councilwoman Renzulli, we spoke about this, I think, last year. To bring this, and we didn't bring it last year, and I would like really to be add as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilmember Marino.
Thank you, Council President. I want to say thank you to the sponsors of this resolution for bringing it forward. It is an important issue. It's something that we can all unite around, the importance of the topic. The stigma associated with it is difficult as well for people to overcome to get help, and hopefully that will change as time goes on, with less and less stigma for people to step up and get the help that they need because there are resources available. I'd be happy if you could add me as a co-sponsor as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I think everybody spoke on this. So I'll just thank the sponsors for bringing this forward. Reach out. CCAP is a great organization that do a lot in this city. We're lucky to have them, and there is a resource with this as well. But I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor too. If the sponsors will have me. That being said, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, motion passes 8-0. Moving on to report of committees, we have the Finance Committee. Council Vice Chair of the Finance Committee, Renzulli, I'll go to you for introduction of these matters.
Okay, thank you. First, before us, we have a resolution authorizing real estate tax abatements. This passed in committee, and I urge passage tonight.
We will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We
Second.
have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Motion passes.
Next, we have a resolution authorizing motor vehicle tax abatements. This passed in committee, and I urge passage tonight.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion on the motor vehicle tax abatements.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. And finally, we have tax interest waiver approvals. These passed in committee, and I urge passage tonight.
Thank you. I'll entertain a
Motion to
motion
approve.
on the waiver approvals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilor Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, motion passes 8-0. That concludes the business of the Finance Committee. Thank you, Vice Chairwoman Renzulli. Moving on to the Ordinance Committee. Councilman Matthew Riley, Chair, you have a couple of items up for a vote this evening.
Thank you, Council President. First, we have ordinance 8-22 one ordinance creating chapter 46 of Title 8 of the Code of the City of Cranston entitled Consumption of Marijuana in Public Places. So sponsored by myself and Councilwoman Renzulli, co-sponsored by Councilman Campopiano, Councilwoman Marino, and Council President Paplaskas, as amended in committee on 10/13/22. And this passed in committee, and I'm urging passage here tonight.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion on 8-22-01.
Motion to approve.
As amended.
Second.
It's a motion to approve as amended in committee. At this time, I'll open up the floor for comments from council members. Seeing none. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilor Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Amended ordinance passes 8-0. Councilman Riley, I think you have one more up.
Thank you, Council President. Next, we have ordinance 9-22-03. Ordinance and amendment of Title 10, Chapter 32, Section 30 of the Code of the City of Cranston entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic, a multi-way stop intersection for Summer Street and Waldron Avenue, making it a four-way stop, sponsored by Councilwoman Jermaine. This passed in committee, and I'm urging passage here tonight.
Thank you, Councilman. I do think this was passed pending a traffic study. So I guess my question is to the clerk and to the administration. Have we gotten a traffic study yet for 9-22-03? We received one? Okay,
So at this time, we do not have the traffic study. So I would entertain a motion to continue this 1 month
Motion
to
to
allow
continue.
for the 60 days to allow the traffic engineer to get us that report.
yeah, I think we could just continue this to next month while we wait for that report, if that's the will of the council. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to continue 1 month.
Second.
Under discussion on the motion to continue. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilor Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, and just to note, when we get to the next council meeting, that 60 days will expire, so we're at the council's pleasure at that point.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank
And
you.
that's all from the ordinance committee.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the Public Works Committee. We have one item up for introduction. We have the resolution naming the Oak Lawn gazebo in memory of Marie R. Kennedy. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilor Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Motion passes. That concludes the matters of committees. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to public comment for undocketed items. At this time, you can come up to the podium, name and address for the record. Try and to limit your comments to 3 minutes if possible. And the floor is yours. We are open. We'll do, anybody who's waiting online, we'll go to you after Chambers. Anybody in Chambers like to speak? No? Now would be the time if we're on undocketed matters, so you can come up and speak about anything you want. Would you like to speak? Well, on the agenda is an item to speak about the schedule for the police range. But this is undocketed items. This is the only other time on the agenda for the public to speak. So if you have something to say, come up, name, address for the record. Good evening. Name and address for the record and just try and limit your comments to 3 minutes or give everyone the opportunity to come up. Thank you.
No problem. My name is Patricia Schoeninger. Would you like that spelled? Last time they needed a spelling on that. Schoeninger. You're welcome. Yes, it is. Okay. I live at 7 Scotland Road.
The
I would
floor is
like to-
yours.
Excuse me?
The floor is yours.
Thank you. I would like to address comments that were made at the Safety Services and License Committee meeting on Monday, September 12th, regarding who uses the gun range for training and qualifications. It was stated that 3 police departments, Johnston, East Providence, Smithfield, and the Rhode Island Municipal Police Academy, with hundreds of additional police officers, are still using the range. Actions should be taken now to eliminate those police departments and the academy from using the range. It would decrease the activity in the gunfire. I am sympathetic to their situation, but my concern is my community, and having fewer weeks of hearing gunfire would lessen our burden and be a benefit to our quality of life. The range was built for the Cranston Police Department. It should be used by the Cranston Police Department only. And next agenda is regarding the range schedule. We were told by the Cranston Police Department that the range schedule would be posted every week with days and times so we could plan our week accordingly. The week of September 12th, the schedule stated Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. On September 14th, the shooting started at 9:30 a.m. And on September 15th, the shooting started at 11 a.m. I sent an email on both of those days to the Constituent Affairs Office at City Hall and also included City Council members about this situation. On October 4th, I spoke with the Constituent Affairs Office requesting an updated schedule from the CPD, since it hadn't been updated since the week of September 12th. There is now a schedule posted for the weeks of October 11th and October 17th. My point being that this should be done every week there is activity at the range without me having to remind the CPD that this is what they were going to do for my community and be a good neighbor. As of today, October 24th, at 12:05 p.m., there is no schedule posted for this week. Regarding administration timeline and funding of an indoor range, the administration stated it will take years for an indoor range to be built, and that is if and when there is funding available, which means my community will still have to live through years with the public nuisance, quality of life issues, not being able to enjoy our homes, or our children not having the school environment they deserve. I checked back today to the schedule at the website of the Cranston Police Department at 4:13 p.m. It states that October 24th till October 28th, from 8:30 a.m. till 8:30 p.m., there'll be moderate shooting. So what I'm being told is,
Patricia, you reached your 3 minutes. I just wanted to lay it. out
okay,
you can sign
so
off.
what I'm being told is that for this week, for 12 hours every day, I have to leave my home if I don't want to hear gunfire. That is ridiculous, absurd, and it's bullcrap. No one should have to leave their home for 12 hours a day. That is ridiculous. Therefore, the concession that could be made to my community for this situation is to reduce our property taxes. It is only fair to the people of my community for our pain and suffering for the years that we've had to put up with this situation and for years to come. We no longer are the forgotten and ignored community who have been told for years, just get used to it. We deserve
Patricia,
and we
we need to
demand
move on to the next
better.
person.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. Name and address for the
Good
record,
evening.
please.
My comments are 4 minutes. I based it on, the subcommittee meeting, so I hope you'll let me.
Martha, I'll give you the 4 minutes because we let Patricia go a little longer.
Okay, and I also want to, mention for the record, that was Dr. Erica Walker. that I had requested if she could speak. She's in Charlotte catching a plane. We lost her. She's gone.
Well, we're still on if she joins back in.
She's catching up. She just had to catch a
Oh,
flight.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
me too, because she's a public health specialist from Brown University. She'll be submitting a letter. Too bad about that miscommunication.
Thank you. The floor is yours.
Okay. Martha DeMayo, 69 Laconia Road. I live 0.4 miles from the shooting range. The last 2 weeks were hell. A year ago, though, when no one in this administration would meet with me, Dr. Megan Ranney, a professor of emergency medicine at Brown University, was quoted in this Go Live article about the harm caused by gunfire. Last month, Dr. Melissa Jenkins, learning of this horrifying situation, sent an open letter to Mayor Hopkins. I will read to you the key points. Dear Mayor Hopkins, I am a neuropsychologist whose research and clinical practice specializes in the impact of trauma, stress on the brain. I am very alarmed to hear a Cranston friend that her neighborhood is being exposed to a constant and very loud noise issue, not just innocuous noise, but very loud gunfire from a police shooting range. Exposure to noise in one's home from any source leads to both psychological and physical adverse outcomes, including anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, heart disease, and possibly hearing loss. The sound of gunfire is a very distinctive and disturbing noise. Apart from being loud, it evokes fear and physiological activation, which can turn into patterns of overarousal, hypervigilance, and other manifestations of traumatic stress. It is absolutely unacceptable to continue to barrage residents and students with this assault on their physical and mental health. I heard the police chief describe this situation as, and I quote, an inconvenience and a nuisance. I assure you, this is a gross understatement of the situation. This is a very traumatic experience for residents and students, and one likely to result in irreparable harm to the physical and mental health of residents in the school community. I urge you to end this practice immediately to protect the health and well-being of the Cranston community. Surely, police training can occur at a site that does not jeopardize the health of the very residents they're supposed to protect. Now, Dr. Jenkins called for immediate shutdown. And last month, Mr. Moretti was wringing his hands that there was no immediate solution. Just be patient while you suffer. Here's 3 things that could be done right now. 3 things the Hopkins administration and this council can do right now. Number 1, you should call your counterparts in Providence and ask where the Providence police trained while their Situate range was undergoing the multi-million-dollar toxic cleanup. Next, make a call to the National Guard, to the General's office, and ask where the National Guard is training now that the East Greenwich outdoor range has been closed. And the third thing is stop renting it out. Stop allowing other cities to come here and shoot their AR-15s. And the fourth thing, if you really care about this community and the environment, start looking into the air, water, and soil. 60 years lead has been in that ground and running off into the supposedly Providence water, protected water source there. Any further inaction on the part of this administration and this council is nothing short of gross negligence. You have the medical information now. You can't say you didn't know.
Thank you, Martha. Anyone else? Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Roberta Judge, 18 Laconia Road. I'm here to speak as a parent of children in the Western Hills neighborhood who have were born and raised in the area. I'm speaking about in support of change in the city regarding the gunfire noise from the Cranston Police Training Academy and Shooting Range Complex. I've lived in the Western Hills neighborhood for 20 years exactly, since 2002, within a quarter-mile distance of the shooting range. I'm aware that it's being utilized by many more police officers than it was intended to serve when it was built decades ago. I'm also aware that it is yielding much revenue for the city, and it's unclear as to where the money is being spent. After having 3 children where I currently live, they have all spent their whole education hearing gunshots during school hours. So they were at George J. Peters, Western Hills, and Cranston High School West, with the exception of a few months during the winter when the shooting range is closed. 2 of the schools are across the street from the shooting range. It is ludicrous to me that any logically thinking adult would endorse that this is a healthy learning environment for children to spend 13 years of their educational career in. Being exposed to the noise from the gunshot sounds. My children have expressed to me that many times when the shootings start, their teacher's voice becomes louder to speak above the noise coming from the shooting range, or the students will not hear the teacher speaking. Additionally, many children have learning and sensory concerns and or attentional difficulties that make them even more irritated by this type of noise than the average student. And they're not going to express this verbally. They express it by being agitated, by not being able to focus, by moving around more. That's how children with these kinds of special needs would exhibit that. I'm not sure that anyone has even considered that or even thought about that, because I haven't heard anything in terms of that and how it affects children with special needs in the schools. Additionally, it makes it scarier for students now that mass shootings are on the rise in public schools across the country. The Cranston School Department has now added the ALICE training. In relation to this, my son told me that first of all, that's scary for them because they have never had to be prepared for mass shootings previously in their childhood. But additionally, having the constant gunshot noise during school makes it additionally anxiety provoking. In relation to this, my son told me that he wouldn't know whether there was a real mass shooting or not because they hear this gun noise constantly. And it is as if you are standing next to it. If you are in the front of Cranston West, I don't know if you've ever stood there, but I was picking up one of my kids for a medical appointment in the morning, and I just could not even believe how it sounded like I was right next to the shooting. The noise in general is also very disturbing for the residents who would like to relax outdoors or indoors on their property, and this is what they hear. Please seriously consider changes to the current operation of this facility to ensure that future generations of students in this city are not exposed to toxic learning environments. It should not be acceptable for children to grow up with the notion that it is normal, because there's so much complacency around this issue in the city. It's mind-boggling. Like, oh, it's always been that way. Everybody's used to it now. So does that make it healthy? Does that make it an appropriate environment for children to be learning in? I do not think so. And it would also be a real bonus if residents who live in this area could enjoy what they have worked so hard for every day their properties and their homes. Thank you for your consideration of this matter.
Thank you.
And I would also like to say, again, in relation to, I am not someone who is against the police force or anything like that. My brother is a major in a neighboring police department. So I support the police. This is, an issue of the health of the
Thank you.
residents of the town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to come up to the podium? Good evening, name and address for the record. And I like
Good
that
evening.
shirt.
Thank you. Whoops, oh boy. Hello. Good evening. My name is Alfred Schoninger. I live at 7 Scotland Road. Been there for about 50 years. It's about a quarter of a mile from the facility. I also was here at the safety service meeting on September 12th. After that meeting, I felt I had to write a letter to the council members, the mayor, and anybody else I can get their email address to. I have a copy here if you'd like to have it for your records. And everybody I sent it to. My letter said how the community clearly stated their issues regarding the Cranston Police Department gun range is affecting their daily lives. On the other hand, the CPD was not so much. Their testimony departed from the facts and minimized the situation, and I felt it was misleading to the council. We kept hearing long that they've been shooting there since 1950s, they say. That's definitely true. But back then, there was no AKs. There was no automatic weapons. And there was probably only 50 people in the Cranston Police Department, and most of them couldn't even carry the guns, the little pistols that they shot. That facility was that was stated by the Cranston Police that only 3 departments are using that facility. Well, unfortunately, there's no way for me to check it. I know you guys can, but just last year's budget said there was 11. That means even if they are telling the truth, that's about 500 police officers just for the 3 cities that they say, plus the 150 Cranston police who have to shoot 100 rounds to qualify. Times 500, that's 50,000 pops we have to hear. Imagine that. That's what we have to go to. And we have to do it at their convenience when they tell us we have to do it. My letter also stated that the training wasn't as big as then, and the pistol range. My letter stated that the needs of training in the weapons now have way outgrown that 70-year-old Little Phoenix Avenue pistol range. That's what it was. That's what it was, a pistol range, okay? It should be relocated on a land from the schools in civilian neighborhoods. I suggested in my letter that they build the state-of-the-art training indoor shooting facility next to the prisons, where they would love to have all the police there all the time, at any time. And once they have it built, they can have all the cities that have to do the training pay them. And then this way you'll get paid for real soon and you'll have money forever. Well, I've been doing this for 2 years now, trying to fight this. Because I've been working all the time, and I had a Cranston business for many years, very successful business that I had to sell. And at these 2 years, we stated for the city and the state these questions, and here's the answers that they gave us. The first thing we said, it did affect the children and the teachers and the faculty that attended Cranston West and Western Hills.
Sir, you're at your 4 minutes. If you can
Okay,
start wrapping
well
up.
said. And they said it's okay, that they agree with it. I don't really believe that that's true. I'm pretty sure if you do a research on all the teachers and the students, I'm pretty sure there's at least one person that's going to complain about it in the past. Let's see. I think it doesn't. The other thing that you said, we talked to the chief of police and he says it would not just, there's no way it would delay the response. I mean, come on, let's be for real. We finally had him to admit that it would delay it, but it'll only be a minimum delay. It'll only be a minimum delay to respond to our children. That's what he said. Again, the other thing they said is the neighbors, they're very hard to focus. It's hard to function. It's hard to live where we are with the gunfire. Your solution to us was, well, we do a schedule to you when it's on, like it's on now from 8
Sir.
morning to 8, and then you want us to leave our house. And that from 8 to 8. How do you really feel about that? Last thing I'd like to say is the property value. It's affecting our property value. But the thing that you didn't mention, which is very, very important, is your environmental issue. Because all these 70 years, all that lead is in the ground, and they're finding bullet cases on Oak Lawn Avenue and near the schools. I demand that this council checks the property and has some kind of property, just survey their property to see if there's any contaminations on that land. And if
Sir, we
there
gotta
is,
wrap it up.
you
You're
should
way
do
past your
all
4
the-
minutes.
all the
Thank you.
abutting neighborhoods. I hope you
Thank-
make the right decisions for your.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much. Good evening.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is
Thank
Dr.
you.
Patricia Ritchie. My address is 161 Albert Avenue. I am not a resident near the range. However, I am a Cranston resident, and when I learned of what these unfortunate people were having to endure, it compelled me to come to speak to all of you. I received my MD from Brown University, Warren Alpert School of Medicine, and did a 4-year psychiatric residency at Brown University. I am board certified in both psychiatry and neurology. I come here to speak to you about the damage that having a barrage of gunshots throughout the day, day after day, can do to people. Average people, adult people, and children. You've heard the frustration that these people have in their voices. It's quite evident. And they've been going through this for years. I ask all of you, is your home your solace? When you go at the end of the day, after a long day of work, do you seek out a place of refuge? Imagine what it's like to hear gunshots throughout the day. Physiologically, it does a lot of damage, and you heard that in Dr. Melissa Mangili's letter. Physiologically, it affects the blood pressure. It adversely affects the cardiovascular system. It also raises cortisol levels in the body when you have stress constantly by hearing that barrage, and the nervous system is deluged with it. Cortisol levels, when they're elevated in the body, affect your immunity. So that means that it affects all illness, cancers, infections. So I was just talking about the average person, correct? Imagine someone who has a history of violence, either physical violence, sexual violence. If somebody is a vet and has been to war. I actually worked for 2 years at the Veterans Hospital in the PTSD clinic. So I know what it's like. I know what it's like when someone can't sleep at night, when they have to have their back against the wall because they're terrified. Imagine what gunshot sounds do to these people. People with generalized anxiety disorder, many of them in our society, many of them in the neighborhood. People who have panic disorder, agoraphobia. So I plead with you, this is not something that can wait because the impact is huge And it's happening now, and it has been happening for years. You have the power to do something about it. And I implore you to do something. And I also want to say, I understand that the police have to practice. I'm certainly aware of the fact that they're here to protect society. But this is not a protection of society. This is actually harming members of society. So I implore all of you to act. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. 4 minutes exactly. That was well done. Good job. Good evening. Mr. Sabinsky, name and address for the record, please.
Hello again. I was here, my name is Peter Zabinski, 60 Midland Drive, Cranston. I first addressed the council 4.5 years ago on this particular issue. And I brought with me all the material, the research that I had done. And I researched pretty much the entire country, shooting ranges, private and public, to try to find the best solution for Cranston. What I concluded after my research, and I'm not an expert, but I was an auditor for the state for a while, so I can compile facts. The only solution, and I think Mayor Hopkins and his administration agreed that this is the only viable solution, is an enclosed facility. All the other things that the police department wanted to do is wonderful. It's fine, but they don't work. And our police department, in my opinion, is one of the best police departments in the country. We should commend them because they do a tremendous job. But enclosing the facility is the only way to stop all the stuff that you heard about prior to me speaking tonight. And if you have the proper enclosed facility, you can stand outside of it, for me, the Councilwoman Marino, and you won't hear anything. Witnessed by, if you go to the indoor range in Coventry, I've done it, I've stood out there, hear nothing outside. So Mayor Hopkins said he was committed to build an indoor facility. I think the council should do what it has to do to help raise the funds from wherever, city, state, federal, and get this project done once and for all. I've been living there in my house since 1966, and I've seen it morph from this small building right here at the bottom. You probably can't see it, but that was the original police academy, which was a little flower shop building on the route when they were building Route 95. And the lieutenant from the police department had it moved to the property here, and that is the birth of the academy. And I think that was in the mid-60s. But as it's been said, this thing has been kicked around, but nothing has been done. It's time we do something, especially in light of the testimony from medical people. And of course, all of us residents who have to live and listen to this. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Sabinsky. Anyone else in chambers to speak on undocketed matters? Seeing none, I'll ask if there's anyone on Zoom that would like to raise their hand at this time to be heard.
I see no public comment on Zoom.
Okay, at this time, I will close public hearings. Thank you. At this time, seems like the majority of the people in the gallery here would like an update on the police range gun schedule, which is on the agenda on the council member communications. So I'll entertain a motion to take that out of order so we can get an update on that now.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to take the docket out of order. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Now, before we get into discussion on this, I've already been cautioned by legal counsel. What's on the agenda is an update on the police range gun schedule. So we need to take the comments and keep it up on that, so we don't break any opens meetings or go off the rail there. But at this time, the administration has an update on police range gun schedule, which is on the agenda under Councilmember Communications. Thank you, Council, Women Jermaine and Renzulli for bringing this forward and putting this on the agenda.
Yes, I believe, from what people were saying, that the city has been posting the hours of the police range on the city's website. If you go to the, I know it's on the city website under the police department, mentions a shooting range and the hours for shooting. So we are keeping up with posting that when it comes over from PD. We're complying with that.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Director Moretti from the council? No, we closed public comment. There's no more
I
public
have
comment.
to ask,
Ne-
we
Mr.
have to
Mayor-
leave our
Mr.
house
Mayor, you
12
can't do
hours a
this.
day?
Mr. Mayor, you can't come up to the microphone.
12 hours a
close-
day, you're
we
asking
closed
me to
public
leave my
comment.
home. I just
Mr.
paid
Mayor,
my
you-
taxes.
Mr. Mayor, please, you're obstructing the meeting. We can have. You know what? We're gonna move on from the gun range. We got an update from Director Moretti. Thank you, Director. Moving back to the docket. We have the election and or appointment of city officials. Library Board of Trustees. The appointment of R. Drayton Fair, filling the unexpired term of Mary Slocum for a term to expire on July 27th, 2023. I'll entertain a motion on R. Drayton Fair for the Library Board of Trustees appointment.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. You should have all received the resume on the appointment of R. Drayton Fair. Are there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Moving on to the Historical Cemeteries Commission, we have a council president appointment, and I put up for the reappointment of David Goyette for the term to expire on October 28th, 2025. And this is the council president appointment, so no votes need to be taken. Is that correct, Madam Clerk? No votes taken on this, correct?
No, it's strictly your appointment.
Thank you. And next, we have a reappointment for the Arts Commission. Leah Tom Mason Hill for a term to expire on October 24th, 2025. Leah is currently serving on the Arts Commission, and this is a reappointment. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Under discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas. Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you to R. Drayton Fair, David Goyette, and Leah Tomlinson Hill for serving on boards. Moving on to report of city officers. I see none. Moving on to executive communications. We have the legal fees report presented to us from the administration. There is a link on the docket. Are there any questions on the legal fees report? Seeing none, we'll move on. We have a Director Moretti, I'll let you introduce the next item under executive communications.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, Major Robert Cork has been with the police department for a good number of years. He's actually eligible under probably full pension, but desires to remain on the police department. We're grateful for his leadership and willingness to continue to serve. And so he's requesting, and the administration is requesting that you grant his continuance of service for another year. He has passed all the requirements for so doing.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve Major Quirk for another year in service.
So moved.
Motion and a second under discussion. So I'll just say, Captain Carnival, Is it true that Major Quirk, first patrol car was a horse? It was a pony? Okay. Well, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplasky.
Congratulations, Major Quirk, I think, and Director Moretti, I see you standing there, so you must have something else.
Yeah, I feel bad for that pony, but couple of things, a couple of good things. As you are aware, the veterans, we're going to be continuing with the Veterans Day Parade on Veterans Day. It begins at 11:30. They're forming at Dark Avenue, begin at Dark, coming down Park Avenue, past the square here, down Hayward, back up Rolf as we did last year, and there'll be a speaking program. Certainly, as you know, the council people are thrilled to have you participate and look forward to that. Last year was a tremendous success after a couple of decades of being absent. So the veterans are really looking forward to it. So we hope to have another wonderful time. We had great weather last year, and let's pray for the same thing. And then something that doesn't come up very often, but something affecting 1 billion people in this world is Diwali, it's the festival of lights for the, a lot of the Hindu people, the people in India, Muslim people. So we wish those people happy Diwali and for everyone for what that means. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Moving on to Council President Communications. Just want to start off by giving a shout out to our canvassing department. I think we all know Director Lima, Maria, Terry, and Emerson in the canvassing department. They're doing an outstanding job for us. I think we have the best elections department in the state, if not the region. Obviously, early voting has already started at the Pastori Youth Center, 155 Gansett Avenue. You can vote weekdays, 8:30 in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon, and that continues through November 7th, ending at 4 p.m. So note that that last day you can vote is 4 p.m. on the 7th. One other thing I want to also say is, as you know, our canvassing department was featured in a film, No Time to Fail. There will be a national showing for free on No Time to Fail screening on October 27th at 5 p.m. Go to notimetofailfilm.com if you want to see our great canvassing department in action. So I just wanted to plug the movie and say that, I've seen the film. I think Councilwoman Renzulli has seen the film as well, and it really shows the team we have here in action, and thank them for their hard work. And it's a busy time of year. Moving on to council member communications, Councilwoman Vargas, we have an update on the Oakland Cemetery.
Yes, I actually connected already with update on that, so we can actually remove that from the docket.
Excellent.
That would be great.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Jermaine, you have a few items up here. First up, the status of the Aqueduct and Intervale Crosswalk. I will pass the floor to you.
Thank you, Council President. I have to mention at the same time, the previous topic, you didn't pass me the floor to say anything. So it was a little awkward. I didn't understand what happened. But you give me the floor, I'm happy. But the first one, I think you changed the way you do things. I was expected to talk on the update. We asked for, say, a few things, but you didn't give me the possibility to do that. So I have to mention that. So what I would like to have from the administration is, as I mentioned, the status of Aqueduct. I keep receiving email from the constituent in this neighborhood. I received 2 or 3 emails last week, and from residents living in the area, not even know that there is something on their way, and asking what should be done. I have a request, even people request for a speed bump. So that's why I want to really make sure we have something done in this intersection. So, Mr. Moretti?
Yeah, as to the crosswalk, I just wonder if you could please continue this to Public Works. I was to meet with Director Bernardo today about this. He was ill today, so I'm sorry, but if you don't mind, if we can
That's
continue,
fine.
we'll be
That's
sure to address that. I wanted to hear exactly where we stood, so I'm not prepared for that reason.
Okay. So I will ask to continue this for next month or,
Even perhaps committee, it would be fine, Public Works Committee, he'll be here if you'd like to address it at that time.
sure, yeah. Thank you.
So we'll continue Aqueduct. Thank you.
Okay, my next item is, that's a request I had, and I called and I did not have the answer forward. So we have residents that asking question about VRBO and Airbnb in Cranston. So, we know with the pandemic, COVID-19, we have this this type of businesses very often right now. It's popular, and I have residents ask me question and I couldn't answer. So that's why I'm asking to have a discussion to know I can better inform my constituents on when they have this question coming up.
Thank you, Councilmember Jermaine. I think Solicitor Angel has some information on this topic for you.
Yeah, actually,
Thank you.
we are working on an ordinance with respect to not in particular to single out any particular organization, but on what's called short-term rentals. It's an increasing problem in communities, certainly this one. And other communities have dealt with this, some successfully, some not so successfully. It really boils down to an amendment to your zoning code. And we'll be proposing that. It's comprehensive. It does not single out any particular facilitator of short-term rentals. It will impose penalties. It will deal with the entertainment aspect, if you will, of the short-term rentals. There are certain properties that people rent for a few days so that they can have a giant party. That's going to be addressed in the ordinance as well. So you'll see the ordinance most likely introduced next month.
Okay, so that's mean in the book, we have nothing right now in regard to Airbnb, VRBO.
We are not going to target or mention any specific facilitator of these short-term rentals.
Okay, we call it short-term.
This is strictly an ordinance that deals with short-term rentals. Whoever the facilitator may be of those types of short-term rentals, they may or may not fall into that box, but from what I do know about the two facilitators that are mentioned in the agenda, they would certainly fall into the category that we're targeting. But they would not be the only ones targeted.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I think I might have an answer for the next one, but I'll let you
Yes, I
intro it.
think I'm going to continue the next two items for next month.
Okay, do you want to send to the Public Works Committee,
No,
to the full council?
yes.
Okay, we'll continue those to next month. Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilmember Donegan, you are up next. I'll let you intro it.
Thank you. Looking for an update as some of the initial projects within the 5-year plan on the school side are nearing completion. Looking to get an update on the Gladstone project on the city side. What do we need to do to help facilitate that project's completion?
We are, I guess, in a complete sense. Both the mayor has supported it. The mayor has approved the continuation of the Gladstone project. And I believe there was a contract was awarded by BOCAP for the design engineering of Gladstone. I think if I recall seeing it in the vicinity of $750,000 for that part of it. And as you know, Garden City is continuing on its way. In fact, we have a meeting tomorrow with the school administration to get a status, coincidentally, with where they do stand, because there is a concern with so much allotted for the bond and the authorization. To add to that, by the way, we have the proper banding of money in bonding is all approved in the process, and so that won't be holding this project up. So the city has facilitated that. So the city is locked and cocked, if you would, and ready to go. But we will have more discussions with the administration of the school department to get us an idea of their latest spending estimates. And obviously there's concerns of overruns, both with any of the projects themselves, but obviously what's going on with the economics in the supply chain of today. That there's what's happened to inflation, to see how this all will come together and where they stand budgetarily. We don't have that end of it, but we just as you, we're very interested in speaking with the school department about that. But also there are, I believe, a couple of members of the council that sit on the school buildings committee that's actually probably closer to that on a monthly basis.
So is there anything that the city, whether the city council or the administration, is there anything that we need to do to ensure that the Gladstone project is completed?
We're doing everything. I believe we're doing everything that we possibly can to facilitate them. We know of nothing standing in the way of that. The mayor is fully supportive of it to be done expeditiously. Hopefully they were going to be within budget, and we'll be better informed tomorrow about that. But I can't think of anything else the city can possibly do. Again, we've provided the authorizations. We gave the green light. We've met with the superintendent and her staff, particularly about the project about a month ago, giving the green light a month or two ago to the engineering work. Again, they're probably about $1 million into that, and we don't want to waste that money. And we've provided the proper funding mechanisms that are in place financially. So with that, we're fully supportive of the Gladstone School.
How much of the bond that initially went out to sale, how much of that is left? Do we know?
How much of that as well, please?
How much of the initial bonding is left for the school project?
I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm sorry.
Do you know if we need to sell any more of the bonds?
It will be, yes, as in the years to come, because we don't want to go off of bands and bonds and just pay an interest for not spending the money. So we try to time it with the bonding and the banding accordance with the spending. If we do it, we'd be just have money sitting in the bank, earning next to nothing and paying substantial with debt service. So for that reason, no, it's not fully bonded, no. Which would no project as ever would be. It would be timed according to spending.
Do you know what their, I guess from the school side, when do they want to start spending that money if it was available to them?
Well, actually they have, in terms of the design, then the construction's the next step after that. So yeah, the commitment's done for, I'm estimating approximately $1 million between architectural and in-process engineering or commitments. And that's where it's at. Then that's the normal process like they did with Gladstone, with Garden City. So they would come back with then the bidding process would go out for construction after then engineering drawings are completed.
So there's nothing else they need from our side to get this done. Is that, and there's nothing that they.
As of 8:25 this evening, absolutely, we're not aware of anything. I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. We're not anticipating any problems, but we haven't met. We have a new finance director. I wanted to introduce him to this project. And so that's why the mayor has called the meeting with the school administration, with our finance team, to make sure we can facilitate what they need and identify any flags, if there are any, before we have any problems, if we did. But I don't want to, it'd be conjecture, and I'm not aware of problems. But there is obviously just the overriding concern, which we all hear about construction costs. But I'd be speculating at this time.
I'll connect with you offline about that meeting. I would, if it's not during school hours, I would like to maybe be able to attend, if it's okay with the administration and the superintendent, of course. I just want to add that, and in conversation with school committee member Fusco, I know we both have come across and I'm not speaking for school committee Fusco, so I don't want anyone to misinterpret that people, a common comment that we receive is, oh, you're building a new school. We'll believe it when there's a new school there. So I just want to make sure that on our side, we're doing absolutely everything we can and that we need to ensure that that project gets done, because our community needs it. I mean, they really, really need it. That school, I mean, I know there are wants and wishes and well-deserved and well intentioned in every part of the city. But my goodness, does the Gladstone community need that elementary school? So I just want to make sure that we're doing everything we need to on our end to get that project done.
I think a critical point was the go-ahead when Janine Notomas is looking at us straight in the eye. And the mayor saying, when they're looking to do that engineering to commit that $800,000, and the mayor says, we're doing the project. That's the mayor's commitment to this project.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this? I see. I'm gonna go to Auditor DeMayo first, and then we'll go around the room.
Councilman, on the website, with the current multiple reports, is the total bond was 147 million. Currently available for projects on hand in cash is 34 million available.
Thank you, Mr. DeMayo. Okay. Councilor Donning, any follow-up questions on that number before I move on to anyone else regarding this topic?
34 million, I think the project is what? Like, it was closer to 50, I think. Wait, would we, I know that we're at the engineering stage, but would we need to acquire more or sell more in order to pay for that project? And if so, when are we going to do that?
Question answers we don't have for you. We're meeting with the school department to let us know what spending they estimate in their time frame. So we need that input in order to give you that answer. We're doing everything we can. We want to bring the finance director up to speed within 2 weeks of him being on board, seeing that's one of the hottest or highest priority projects of the mayor, the administration, to see this through. Garden City, Gladstone. The mayor wants it done. We're all out doing everything we can. This is nothing of the extraordinary. There's no backroom secrets going on, and no funny accounting things. It's $34 million, but we don't want $34 million in our pockets at this time, because we're just going to be paying interest for no reason at all. If you like us to bond it, we can, but it just doesn't make any sense.
All right, so you're gonna keep, you guys are gonna talk offline, Councilman Donegan and Director Moretti. Councilman Riley?
Thank you, Council President. So I just wanted to kind of clarify and piggyback off Councilman Donegan's point. I'm not sure if it was the going out to bond for them now. It's more the availability of it. So as he said, the project was slated to be around 50 million, but we only have 34 million remaining. So already, before we're even starting down this path, we're already at a negative. So that's not a good thing. And my question is, actually, you're not really the person to answer that question, because you're not the school department. They have to meet with you. So I'm just asking if you could, in your meeting with them, where's that extra money going to come from? that has been, it must have gone to the overage, I'm assuming, of Garden City, which I am the representative for that area. I'm very happy that we're getting a new school in Garden City, but I agree with Councilman Donegan. Gladstone is in dire need of being redone. And I'm sure at the end of when Garden City School is completed, they'll probably be able to send astronauts to the moon from that facility because it's amazing. Maybe a little too much and maybe unnecessarily so, because we have a lot of other schools too. But I just want to make sure somebody stays on top of them about going over and then coming back and asking for more money when they've spent what they already had. There was $147 million to build this first 5-year leg of it. And before shovels are even in the ground, the money's gone. So please, on behalf of this council, when you have that meeting tomorrow, stay on top of them, oversight, because somehow money disappears a lot over there. And we have these beautiful schools, but Gladstone needs it more than anybody. So please make sure that we have that money for them. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna suggest if we get more in depth, maybe we put this on the finance committee agenda too, as well, to get an update from Mr. Zadelis, if he's up to speed on that. Councilmember Marino?
Thank you, Council
Thank you,
President.
Councilman Riley.
I'm glad that Councilman Donegan put this on the agenda for the benefit of everyone. There's been a lot of rumor, a lot of chatter that I've been hearing just from residents as well about whether or not Gladstone is going to, come to fruition. So it's wonderful to hear the mayor's commitment to the project because the need is without question for that school, and the voters overwhelmingly voted in favor of the school repairs to our city by, I think it was nearly 80% on that referendum item. And to the commentary that's come up about school being over budget and money disappears. I mean, their budgets, at least the last 2 years, they have been well within their budget with some money left over. So I don't think that necessarily money disappears. And we can all agree the cost of building for everyone was unforeseeable in terms of the drastic increase. And, I'm sure everybody's committed to doing the best they can with the money that we have. And I appreciate the administration conferring with the school department to shore this up in a financially responsible way. Thank you.
Yes, Councilman, I think we're all saying the same thing, to be quite frank with you. The voters, the citizens wanted the $147 million of schools built. So this council's enabled it, the mayor's enabled it. It's up to the directive of the school administration to pull that and it's happening. Sure, there's concerns about the large construction process, budget and what's going on in the world. They have to manage to it because there is no extra money because the voters didn't vote for more money than what they've allowed. So Mr. Zadelis and the mayor are going to just make sure that they're spending within the budget and getting the biggest bang for their buck. To manage with the resources approved by the city council and approved by the voters. And full steam ahead as far as the administration is concerned. Certainly, that's one of the key reasons for the meeting tomorrow is to check. It was the administration that called the meeting because we thought it's the prudent thing to do to keep this in check as we move along, and the school department's been very accommodating to us. So we look forward to it, and we look forward to some positive results. There may have to be some trade-offs. Perhaps they had other projects in mind. If there's overruns, perhaps they would have to trade off different projects. But I know the superintendent fully wants the school built also. So I think everyone is saying the same thing. We may have to make some adjustments along the way, is my guess.
Thank you, Director.
Through the
Councilman?
council president.
Yes.
Just clarification, there's another 96 million available to be drawn down on. So they drew 50, there's 34 million in cash, and there's another 96 million available for projects going forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. DeMayo. Any other questions or comments on Gladstone? Councilmember Jermaine hasn't spoken yet on this item. Councilmember Jermaine?
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you.
I think my question, Mr. DiMaio just like go over it a little bit. So I wanted a little bit clarification on the bonds. So we know we have 3 schools that need to be, we have 2 already started and Gladstone is the last one. So we have Eden Park and Garden City and Gladstone. So what I would like to know is, do we have the bond for each of those schools in particular, or we have one bond where we have to split, okay, to those 3 schools?
There's not particular bans and bonds for one school. It's for all the projects put together as pictures of development. You're a big, rich, wonderful lady. And you have a house development that you're doing. You're going to the bank for this $1 million project for all 3 houses, if you will. So, and given the construction and process along the way is the way that you're going to want to draw on that loan, on that line of credit as needed. So, but it's all together, if you will, for all the projects as part of the one school programs.
Did you have like a limit? Like we said, okay, I'm gonna spend, okay, 30,000 for this or 40,000 for that one. So how we do that? Because I think like the sentiment is like, do we spend all the money on those 2 schools and then we have nothing left for the other schools? So that's the feeling I have. I want, am I wrong?
I will have to look to the lawyers, but I believe the authorization for actually the spending of the money is within the school department. And the city is to provide the funding for their needs. And those were the 3 top schools. And I also knew they had some wanted to do some improvements, some of the other schools, but that could be shifted around, I believe, as they see fit.
Is that a possibility that can happen? Is that can happen? So there's no money left for Gladstone. Is that a possibility?
I believe it's possible. I believe it. I believe that anything's possible along that lines, practically speaking. I know that's a high priority of the school department is to get the new Gladstone school going. I can't speak on their behalf, but everything I've seen, everything that they've expressed points to their priorities of the 2 new schools being finishing up in Garden City and Gladstone. In fact, I have to say that superintendent has a lot of passion for Gladstone School.
I understand, Mr. Moretti. I mean, my question is like, so in that situation, there was not a priority per school. It's like whatever finished first or whatever have left. So you just said there's a possibility there's no money left for that store.
Well, it's a budgeting process. You know, so they have X amount of dollars budgeted in this whole authorization. I believe that'd be $147 million. So they're appropriating the money to the different projects to within that spend. Now that's also a moving target because some of the money is being actually reimbursed from the state, and it has to do with above my pay grade, I assure you. But in terms of there could be percentages can swing from the state reimbursement depending on their compliance with certain criteria from the state as to the construction of the schools and what the schools are doing. It gets pretty complicated, but that could be a factor also.
In that case, what do we do? If there's this possibility, what do we do?
It's a hypothetical that I don't think we're there. But if it comes back, and I'll really defer to the attorneys on this, if it's within the school's authority alone, or as if the council with the administration has any say, if there's going to be any substantive changes, that is, I refer to those guys in back of me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jermaine. Councilmember Renzulli.
Thank you. Director Marty, I would just ask if during your meeting, when there are updates, if it's possible, there is a website that the school department does have that's great that about the CPS building projects. There just hasn't been any progress updates when you click on the link for Eden Park or Gladstone as to like where they're going at all. So I'm just hoping that when they do have any information, that they will update that website. So it's transparent for the public as well. And I do share similar concerns. The last thing I read about Garden City was in middle of September, the Herald had an article where the costs are up 30%. So I'm concerned of what kind of money we left over as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Donegan? Did you have anything else to add? Do you want to put this in the Finance Committee docket for the next meeting? Okay, Madam Clerk, if you can please add this. Thank you. Moving on to.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Director. Moving on, Councilwoman Marino, you have a couple of items. The floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you, Council President. The first item is the Rhode Island Veterans Food Donation Drive in support of Operation Stand Down Rhode Island. This year, I'm going to do it from November 14th until the end of the month, until November 30th. It was a great success last year in partnership with police, fire, and the libraries. I'll be doing the same thing again. We'll be having boxes with the lists, and we'll post it online as well. And just hope people can spread the word. It's a good cause, and hoping for another great result of numerous F-150 truckloads full of veterans donations. Thanks.
Thank you. And did you want to get an update on the street paving list?
Yeah, the other item is just a street paving list posting status. I did email the administration well in advance of the meeting as well to give them a heads up if I can just have an update because it couldn't be located. Thanks.
Yeah, where it is, if you go to the Public Works Department, there's a tab that says, I believe, streets and sidewalks. Under there, it has the street paving list.
Okay.
That had 20 calendar years 21 and 22.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman, and thank you, Director. Moving on to council business matters carried over. There are none. Introduction of new business. We have the following matters in this chapter, chapter 12, to be forwarded to the proper committee. I'll entertain a motion to refer the new business.
Motion to refer to the committee?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino, Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Riley.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, we have one item on the miscellaneous business. This is city council consent to submit the draft hazard mitigation plan for the 5-year update to REMA and FEMA for review and comment before the final adoption comes back to the city council. This should have been all emailed out to you from Director Pizzullo. We're not agreeing to anything by this vote. It's just sending REMA the draft so they can comment back before it comes to us for final approval. So I'll entertain a motion to send the consent draft for the hazard mitigation to REMA.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino.
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas. Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Riley.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. City Council's next regular monthly meeting will be held on November 28th, 2022. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I see none. We are adjourned. Thank you.